Hello and welcome back to Life Refresh Podcast. This was Ryan Robinson yet again. Glad that you are here for this third part of podcasting for 2023 to get our life really going and moving in such a way that will ignite us and get us ready for what is to come. I left off the podcast, last podcast, and we've gone through a couple of series, or I would say maybe two teachings. One, unlearning helplessness, clarifying vision, getting clarity in your vision. And the last one here that I want to bring about here that I think is extremely important is entitled Action Steps. Action steps. Um, People have action steps generally from a program management perspective. People have tasks that they need to do, right? There are things that, hey, if we need to accomplish a certain goal, there are steps that we need to take in order for that desired outcome to come about, right? So one of the scriptures that we anchored this on initially with clarity and vision was Habakkuk 2, verse 3. Habakkuk 2, verses 2 and 3. And it says again, I'm going to read it for your hearing again. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So there's some things that we have to do. Now, granted, everything that we talked about requires an action. So if you have a vision and it's in your head, it's only going to stay in your head. It's going to be a spiritual idea that stays in your brain until you write it down and it transfers from your brain into something material. Okay, so every idea, and I left off with this, everyone has ideas. Thousands of millions of people have ideas, but few of them are written down. And again, this is for clarity. It's to make sure that you're shooting for the right target. Because if you aim at nothing, you'll hit that every time, right? That's how the saying goes. So when you have a vision, there is an action required of you. Writing it down, making it clear. And then here's the other part. It says that he may run who reads it. So the thing is, there is something that happens when you read it. There is some kind of action, some kind of work, something that gets deployed in you in order to get what you have envisioned for yourself. I don't think anyone, if they don't believe it, that is, doesn't write a goal down, writes a goal down and doesn't do it. I don't think anyone does that. Then if you weren't going to do anything, why did you even write the goal down in the first place? So if you wrote down a vision, a goal for yourself, there is some kind of belief that you have that that particular outcome is obtainable for you. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have written it down. Okay, so there is another scripture I'm going to pull in for this. And again, I'm speaking from experience here. I have written down hundreds of goals over the last, 4 or 5 years. And I never was a goal writer in the first place. I never really did that. I thought it was, I didn't really believe it that much. I was like, oh yeah, I can just keep it in my head. Not everyone is really excited about writing down goals. Who writes down goals? So the thing is, I was like, you know what? I've heard it in books. I've read it all the time. Let me just actually apply something that I read. And see what happens. I have nothing to lose. I have a lot more to gain than I have to lose, because I'll be right where I am now if I don't try. So I did it. And the year I started writing goals was 2016. And I will tell you, I hit all but two goals that year. And it was like almost kind of scary how it turned out, because I wasn't as deliberate as I thought I'd be. Thought that I would be completely, I had goals and things like, okay, these are the outcomes I want, but I didn't do this massive heavyweight kind of obtaining Herculean effort to get these goals that I believed in. It was literally small pieces, small actions that took place over a small period of a long period of time that compounded for me and essentially became real. So there's a scripture in James. So I'm going Old Testament here. Or sorry, I went from Old Testament. Now I'm going to the New Testament. So James, the brother of Jesus, long story, chapter 2. And I'm going to start with verse 14. Verse 14. What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warmed and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, you have works, you have faith, and I have works. Show me your faith without works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that there is one God. You do well. Even demons believe and tremble. But do you want to know, O foolish man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son on the altar? Do you see that faith is working together with his works, and by works faith was made perfect? And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. You see then that a man is justified by works and not by faith only. Likewise, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? For the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. Okay, I've read to you James chapter 2, verse 14 through 26. I was going to stop at 17, but it just got really good because I wanted to give these illustrations. These illustrations are just so good. If you don't know the Bible, it's fine, but I definitely encourage you to read it. I believe it's a great book. It's the greatest book of all time, and it has all the things needed for life, for growth, for development, for principles, all those kinds of things. So I'm going to use this as a time to not just teach, but I'm going to teach the principle behind what was spoken in or said in these scriptures. It is important to know that if you believe something, there has to be some kind of action behind it. Okay, if you believe that you are a hard worker and you don't work hard, that means you're not a hard worker, right? There has to be some kind of evidence in concert with what you say, which means you can't do one thing and then not do what you said, which means you said but didn't believe what you said. Okay, I think those are some really critical pieces that people have to understand, and recognize in themselves that if you are saying one thing and doing another thing, there is some imbalance or lack of faith in those areas. It might be that you lack self-confidence, that you are doubting yourself, that you don't think that you're capable, but you're just speaking to hear yourself sound good. I think that faith without works, there has to be some kind of evidence that, and it's a principle. It's a principle by which God operates by. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is Genesis chapter 1. And the thing that God did was he spoke the things into being. So when he spoke, it became. So now if you are speaking, and if we are made in the image and likeness of God, if you are speaking something and that thing doesn't come to pass, or it doesn't motivate you to move to essentially, I won't say make it come to pass, but assist it in coming to pass, whether it be for yourself, whether it be for your business, whether it be for your family, there is a disconnect there, because you can't have faith and not evidence. I said some time ago in the podcast last year, I can't recall the number of the episode, but Bible says in the book of Hebrews that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Therefore, there has to be evidence that what I believe is true, whether it be small. So if I don't know why losing weight is probably the biggest thing right now in the first quarter, or at least first 2 weeks, according to statistics, that people pay attention to when it comes to reaching their goals for the year. So if you start getting more evidence of weight loss, you are going to lose some more weight, because you are encouraged by the fact that, oh, I can do this. But it's small changes. It might be that you see the extra, your shoulders might pop up a little bit in the mirror when you put the shirt on, or your belt buckle is loosening up. There's little things that give you evidence of what you believed for. So if you don't believe anything, you're not going to create any evidence of what you believe. Now, this is the thing that people typically forget, is that we forget that some of these things are not instantaneous. It takes time. Okay, this is what we generally forget sometimes, is that we in this culture want things to happen immediately. We want to write a vision down, we want to make it clear, and then we want the results to come about yesterday. And this is the problem that we run into all the time, is that the evidence only appears in small doses. And because it takes time, before you know it, you'll get to your end result, but it's not this huge arrival, this huge glorious moment. It is a compounding interest of daily choices, daily steps, daily opportunities put together that ended up creating such a result for your life. And that's what I want us to come away with for this year. In 2023, the goals that you might have for your life are going to take time. If it's a weight goal, it's going to take time. If it's a money goal, it's going to take time. If it's a family goal, it's going to take time. If it is a mindset goal, it's going to take time. But as you continue to go through the process of reaching out to that goal, you will find yourself getting better in small doses, in small moments throughout the time. And then you have what we talked about. Faith, the chemistry of it, the equation. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance meaning micro, meaning the things that accumulate into something physical, a material. Substance, something that creates something bigger, the building blocks of that. And those building blocks are evidence of what you've hoped for. So if you don't give yourself the evidence through the works that you've believed in through by faith, you are just wishing. You just created a wish. Wishing something would change and not putting any effort to make a change. Hope gives you some kind of motivation. It sees something in the end that has yet to materialize, but is taking daily steps to uncover and reveal what was underneath, what was hidden, what was suffocating, what was buried, to eventually come to light. It is an amazing thing. Sculptures over the time, particularly in the Renaissance age, where they've had slabs and slabs of marble, blocks of marble, really. And these sculptors would sculptors would chisel an amazing piece of art out of something that just looks like a boulder. And I heard it said at one point in time, don't quote me, but the sculptor is just revealing what was already in the material. It's such an amazing perspective of vision, of seeing something in nothing, of being able to cultivate an outcome without even looking like what it's supposed to look like until the very end. These statues, these pieces of work, even when you go into HGTV and watch Fixer Upper or Hometown or whatever your preferred home improvement design kind of situation is, what's so powerful about it, y'all, is that there was a vision for it before it materialized. Therefore, someone had to see it there before you saw it there. Isn't that like God to just put stuff in plain sight for us? Whether it be your gifting, your talent, your whatever it is, that God has hidden these critical, important possibilities inside of you for you to uncover. For you to uncover, not anyone else to uncover. So I want to remind us, particularly as we are hitting 10% of, probably a little over now, of 2023. Give yourself the grace of time and give yourself the evidence you need to reach your goals. I can go on and on a different kind of goals, but for me personally, I have a goal of continuing to do this podcast and hopefully be able to bring even more content with other people on here. But you know what? I got to give myself evidence. I got to give myself a shot. I can't say I can't do it and I don't do anything, or say I want to do it and then don't do anything. No, there's accountability. I put it on the podcast now. There's accountability. Whoever decides to listen to this podcast, I got some accountability now because I just put it out there. That I'll have some interviews here in the next few months here. But I got to give myself evidence. You got to give yourself evidence. And it's a daily battle, but I just need you to get 1% closer than you were yesterday. And then slowly over time, give yourself over to that vision that you can run now and not just walk the vision. You can run towards it. So again, the 3 steps, the 3 things to get yourself moving in 2023. Unlearn helplessness, get clarity of vision, and take action steps. I hope this series was extremely helpful for you. Again, please, 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 if you can, if you find any value on it, rate this on your social media platform, share it there, but also give some stars and some reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you find any value in it. Next podcast, I'm really excited to share some things with you of what's coming up this year, and some important guests that will be coming soon. So keep it locked, subscribe, share. Talk to you soon. Peace.